Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land, going on running, coming at you again. Um, I've had a really, busy month, and I'm going into a little downtime here. So, uh, and it's really it's really late or early, depending on how you look at it. 2 a.m. Um, so, sorry. Here's what I'm going to talk about. Ever since I got my, took all my China vids down, and have sort of been a little more upfront and honest about how I felt about the whole ordeal, I have I've had a lot of expatriates sort of saying, rather than asking me about going to China, asking me about coming home. Now, that can be a little bit of a challenge. It can be really hard to re-assimilate yourself. And I haven't been getting a lot of my Part B videos watched. I noticed an uneven amount of watching on my Part B videos, so you guys don't seem interested in putting more than 15 minutes at a time into me. So I'm going to try and keep this as short as I can. But coming home can be a little bit difficult for several reasons. But ultimately, if you decide that maybe you want to come home, there's some things that you should do first. Be satisfied coming home and not teaching, because you may not be able to get a teaching job in the U.S. You may not be qualified. Now, keep in mind, as long as you have a bachelor's degree, that should be good enough for you to teach high school. So if you want, when you return home, or preferably before, you can get your teaching certificate and start substitute teaching or teaching high school if middle school, what have you, if teaching is what you really enjoyed. Now, teaching in the States is not a whole lot different than teaching over there. You're going to be bent by bureaucracy and required to do things as a teacher that you're not always going to agree with. So be prepared for similar things. But also be prepared to maybe do something else. Sit behind a counter at a convenience store for a while, or manual labor, or just be prepared to do something that you may not be used to doing. And sometimes that can be really good for you to have a little change. Now, if you're really going to be picky about what you do when you come home, and you're not going to be cool with just doing anything, of course you're going to need to save some money. So even though it can be hard, try and save some money, get it home somehow. Have a little cushion, maybe to pay some rent with when you get back, so you can look for work and everything. Transportation is also going to be important. That's going to open up a lot more doors for you. You'll be able to have more job opportunities that way. So don't be picky about jobs. Save up some money. Transportation when you get home. Start applying for stuff. Start testing the waters when you think you've decided you want to come home. So you have some idea of what you're looking for. Keep in mind that you'll be able to survive on survive on less money. $10 an hour goes a lot farther in places like Texas, Florida, Georgia, down south. Up north, the cost of living is higher. So also be prepared to maybe return someplace that you're not from. And I'm talking about the U.S. here, because I don't really have a frame of comparison for any other cultures. Let me see, what else? If you don't think that you're going to be able to manage, renting a place, try and make some friends online that might be willing to put you up for a little while. I just offered to put somebody up when I'm back on my feet a little more, so he can kind of have an opportunity to look for things here. Living, that's a good thing. You've got to be willing. The thing to do now is rent rooms. People buy a house and then they rent out every room in it they possibly can in order to pretty much have the mortgage paid for it. So you can get a room, all bills paid, for anywhere from $300 to $500. And if you can save up $3,000 over in China and get that home, then that's your rent for 3 months or 10 months. So that's kind of important to consider as well. Now, of course, if you're going to be moving right back home, you can live with family for a while. That might be the thing to do. Of course, don't wear out your welcome anywhere. It's very easy to wear out your welcome. Now, aside from those things, if you've been away a while, expect it to be a little bit, there's going to be some difficulty associated with getting back into the game here, because you'd be surprised what you have to do just to work at Kroger now. I mean, you literally have to do an hour-long assessment, that might involve some type of test or something like that. So there's a lot of BS involved with even getting a min-wage job sometimes. But you jump through their hoops and you get talked to, generally. I know that's pretty involved, but whatever. You might have to do it. If you're willing to do labor, manual labor, generally pays well because you're using your body. Now, those of you out there who are, getting older, you might not want to do that too long. I just turned 35. I've been doing some pretty, intense manual labor, and my body's kind of paid for it in some ways. So, just realize what your limits are in that regard. Now, aside from teaching ESL, say at a university, now keep in mind that's another thing. If you're going to be applying for, say, an ESL position at a university, they're not going to be talking to you right away. They leave those jobs up for a long time, and generally a lot of people apply for them. So you might have to go to the school or call them or what have you. Let them know that you've applied. Let them know you're interested, and go from there. If they're going to take forever, then just put in your app and keep in touch with them here and there, but move on, try and find something else. So, but I have found my ESL and China experience to be fairly, I don't want to say useless, but it hasn't done me a whole lot of good. People find it interesting, but it's fairly irrelevant because, I'm just not qualified to teach here. So, there's just a lot that an expat has to think about. And again, it's not something that you should really take real lightly unless you have somebody who can help you out. You're sure you have that. But again, you could wear out your welcome. And keep in mind that, like, you need to sort of, a lot of people kind of just screw around some in China, drink too much, party too much. That's kind of what you can do there cheap. And you can't really, the US is good in that, in a way, because it's hard to do that cheap. And it tends to keep you out of trouble. So just kind of just leave your adolescence behind in China. Don't bring that back here with you. All that stuff is something you should have worked out of your system there. Like I said, I got a lot of friends who don't understand why I don't sleep around and stuff. I mean, that's not me anymore. I don't sleep around. I don't party anymore. I just go from day to day. Family. Those of you that have family, a lot of people do. That's how it works. They might not always be real happy with you for having been gone. I don't know everybody's situation, but my family wasn't real happy with me for leaving. Ultimately going to China was a bit of an escape for me, and I think that's kind of what it is for everybody. But just realize that your friends and family might go through this period of acceptance, or having to kind of get used to you. You're going to be a different person. They're going to be different people. My parents got divorced while I was in China, and me going there was part of what led to that. So, and I mean, there's a lot of story that goes along with that I'm not going to tell. But, things can change while you're gone, even if you don't think they will or didn't see it happen. I think you'll probably find that, as you're spending more time back home, there's going to be an adjustment period for everybody. Nobody's perfect, so don't be too critical of these people because, again, you might be needing their assistance. You might be indebted to some people, who knows. So, but again, the most important thing is going to be that you start preparing, maybe a few months or so before you get back. Maybe have some things lined up, like if you can apply for some jobs and have your interviews lined up, for pretty much when you're going to be getting back into town. That would be the thing to do. And again, just if you apply for enough, you'll get something eventually. So I'm going to leave this video at that. I just don't think that there's really a need to go too far into this. And like I said, you guys are kind of not giving my Part B videos much attention anyway. So I'm probably going to be trying to make these things shorter. The ones I do with Flipmove are going to be, a little longer, podcast style ones. But and don't be. I guess the final thing I want to say is there might be some adversity in your return. Some of you could maybe even wind up homeless for a while. But if you're not careful. But there's always a way through that, and that adversity, can sometimes make you stronger and ultimately a better person. It could make you worse if you make the wrong decisions along the way. You'll probably make a couple bad ones. But don't be too scared of the prospect of coming home. You can probably always find somebody to ship you back to China anyway, if that's really what you want to do. And certainly don't let a woman keep you there. Maybe a kid, but don't let a woman keep you there if you're really not into her. That's a mistake. Been there, done that. Anyway, night.